Hello everyone and welcome to Right Left. And today, it's been a while, but we had a really busy couple of months and I'm just sort of settling back into a normal routine. And there's something that I was doing the other day that I actually had skipped for a week and it was really noticeable. And that is taking my pens for a walk. And I'm sure many of you have routines like this already, but just in case you don't, I thought I would talk about it. And I also realize that there are many people who use fountain pens who are far more organized than I am, and they only keep a few pens inked at a time. I am not like that. I keep almost all of them inked. There are a few that I don't keep inked. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I don't keep inked because I rarely use them. And the reason I rarely use them is because they're bad starters. And so it's just, I'm not that organized and don't spend enough time with this collection and hobby to keep pens like that inked all the time, because it can actually really do a number on them. So these are my pens that I keep inked, and I'm also going to tell you which ones I use the most and which ones I rarely use and probably shouldn't keep inked. But these are all of my pens that are inked right now. And there is actually very often, there are weeks when I don't use them all. I use most of them, but not all of them. And so what I do is once a week on the weekend, I take them for a walk. And what that means is I take each pen out and I write a sentence in my journal, and that just keeps the ink flowing and it keeps the pen in good shape. I noticed when I skipped a week, because things were just so chaotic here, some of my pens didn't start very well. And so I had to work on them, dip them in a little water and coax the ink to flow. If one of them does that today, I will show you how I handle that. And again, I am not a fountain pen expert. I'm just an enthusiast. I'm someone who loves fountain pens and stationery and loves to write. So I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee first. Oh my gosh, we got an espresso machine, and it has been so wonderful because I really only have 1 coffee a day, sometimes 2, and usually decaf. And my daughter got one for her birthday, and every time I would go to her house, I'd have the best coffee. And what I love about it is it makes this beautiful creamy foam on top. So when I use something like oat milk, like homemade oat milk that doesn't foam, it just makes the coffee taste so much better. I can't explain it. The coffee's delicious. And so, I don't know. I've just really been enjoying it so much. And that's just the foam from the coffee. And then I heat up the oat milk and this little thing that came with it. And the oat milk really doesn't froth. And it's just so good. Anyways, so it's kind of my routine. I sit down and make a nice cup of coffee. I get out my journal and I take my pens for a walk. And so I'm going to use this journal, and I need to do this pen and this pen as well. This is an MD notebook, which I think most of you know is my very favorite. And this is the one that I started not too long ago. I usually decorate the front with some art. And so I am just going to flip to a new page and I'm going to write. And so, because I'm a lefty, many of you know that I tilt my paper. All right, so all this means is I'm taking the pens one at a time and I'm taking them for a walk. So I'm just going to tell you about, this is my fountain pen collection minus 5 pens that I do not keep inked. So this is the Kuwaico Aluminum Sport in Stone Washed. I love this pen, and I use cartridges with Kuwaico pens because the converters are just ridiculously small and barely last. And this is just diamine ink in Prussian blue, which is a perfect complement to this pen. This pen, I think it's so beautiful. And so sometimes I'll write the name of the pen. Oh, if I could spell, A-L-S-T-E-I-N. Sport. And you see, after a week, and I did not use this pen this week, and even when I skipped 2 weeks, it started right up. These pens start right up, almost always. I mean, I can't imagine that they wouldn't. I've never had that experience with a Kuwaico pen yet. So Kuwaico AL Sport, and this is stone washed. And then I try to remember the name of the ink in it. I don't always, but I try to. And this is diamine. And this also just gives me a record of what I had inked, because I know people do journals like that. And this is my record. Diamine in Prussian blue, which is a beautiful, deep, very elegant blue. I like it better than the indigo, but it's similar to the indigo. So that's that one. And then when I'm done, I just put it to the side and I move on to the next one. So this one is the Kuwaico Sport. Just the regular Kuwaico Sport. It's plastic, and the color of this pen is called Macchiato. And in this one I have, and I can never remember the name of this ink. Let me find it for you. It is called Schneider. And I love this ink, and the color is apricot. To me, it is the perfect complement for this pen. Sometimes I write the nib size too. The AL Sport is a fine. This is, I don't remember what, this is a medium. I think the AL Sport is a fine. Maybe it's a medium. Yeah, it's fine. And this one is a medium. Gorgeous ink pen combination, I think. The next one would be my Kuwaico Brass. This is an extra fine nib. And this also has diamine Prussian blue. It's one of my favorite inks for just everyday writing, and that's what this pen is for me. So you can see how the ink looks a little bit lighter in a finer nib, right? And this is extra fine. Okay. The next one is the Queco Sport. As you see, I have a problem with Kuwaico Sports. I love them so much. This is the Kuwaico. This is a medium nib. Kuwaico Sport, iridescent. This is a medium, so you can see how much juicier it is than the other three. And this ink is J. Urban in Poussière de Lune, which is a deep sort of eggplant purple. And I'll change this ink once that cartridge is done. I'm not thrilled with it with this pen. It's pretty, but I want something a little bit lighter that matches the pen, like maybe a lavender color ink. A gray lavender would be really beautiful. But you see how these just start right up even after a week of not using them. They're magnificent pens. This is the Kuwaico Sport. Ooh, this one might be running out of ink because this one's usually pretty juicy. This is a double broad, I think. Yeah, double broad. And this color, I believe, is called Clementine, but it might be called Mandarin. I don't know. It's the orange in the Frost series. And then this ink is diamine orange. Pretty basic. So maybe it's running out of ink. I don't know. Not really. It's still got a little bit in there. So that was a little rough, and it skipped a little bit for me there. No, it's okay. I usually don't have any trouble with that one. So that's the Kuwaico Sport double broad, which is really, I don't know, it's not that different. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to my Lamy. This Lamy is, and two of my Lamys are not inked. This is the left-handed nib. So this is the Lamy Safari, left-handed in charcoal. And it's got the black nib, which I love. Love it. This is a left-handed nib, which I really haven't found much of a difference. It really doesn't feel any different than any other Lamy nib that I've used. And this is Lamy, I think it's called Violet, which I love with the charcoal. And this is one of the pens that, also, by the way, these, I have used almost all of them except maybe this one in the past week. This one I have not used at all. It's just, I don't know. It's a great pen. I don't know what to say. Maybe it's the color ink that's in it. I don't really know, but yeah, it doesn't feel any different than any other Lamy pen that I have. Okay, next is probably the pen that I use the most. This is my prized pen. It's my only gold nib. It is the Yoseka Stationery Special Edition of the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. I love this pen so much. And it really, this pen and this pen have turned my heart toward Sailor pens over Pelicans for everyday writing. Not for drawing, but for everyday writing. This pen is the medium fine nib. I think I'm not sure if it came in any other sizes. It may have. So this is, and this one might be out of ink. Hold on, let me just look. Yeah, it's out of ink. So I will turn the camera off and fill that one in a second. I meant to do it yesterday and I thought maybe there was a little bit left, but it was getting kind of scratchy. So I'll talk about that one in a few minutes. Let me go to this one. This is the Sailor Compass in transparent green. This is also a medium fine nib. This pen for a $30 pen is a dream. It has the Sailor's kind of feedback with the nib. This is medium fine, and the ink is Sailor Curie. And I always forget the name of this ink. It's called Kuwaico Sport. Love, love, love this ink. Matches the pen perfectly. I mean, this pen, if you want to try a Sailor pen before you invest in a more expensive Sailor pen, this is an awesome pen for the money. I love, love, love this pen. I use this pen almost every day. It's probably my second most used pen. My third most used pen, sometimes even more. Sometimes I grab this even more. I love this pen so much, so much. So this is the Sailor, I'm sorry, the Pelican M200. In a fine nib. It is a juicy flowing nib, and I can't remember the name of this ink, but it's called Misty Lake. I can't remember I think it's Ink Institute. Yeah, Ink Institute. This is a really juicy, free-flowing pen. It's just delightful, and it can get really fine and also really thick. It's just, I love Pelicans, but I love, you know, for the writing part, I've really been using my Sailor more. This is when I want to be a little bit more expressive, or if I'm drawing. I love this pen. Okay, one of my other Pelicans M200s is the Smoky Quartz. This is the first nice pen that I ever bought, and I think I'm out of ink on this one too. Yep, I'm out of ink. So let's just fill this one up to show you. This is the Misty Lake. It's by Ink Institute, Misty Lake. Love this ink, love it. All right, so let's fill the Smoky Quartz. Here's my ink. I always keep the Smoky Quartz ink in this pen. I love this ink. This is the Edelstein This was the special color for the year that I got the Smoky Quartz pen, which was also that special color. So for the Pelican pens, they're piston fillers, and so you basically screw this so this kind of lifts here. You put the nib into the ink, and then you slowly fill it up. This couldn't be easier, to be honest with you. And I don't think I have a tissue here, but let me see. Did I keep my tissue in here? Yes. I usually keep one in my drawer for this reason. And then you just want to wipe it off a little bit so the ink doesn't stay on. Get it all over your fingers and stuff like that. So it couldn't be easier, right? You just stick the nib in and draw your ink up. I keep this ink in my drawer with my other most used inks. All right, so this is the Pelican M200. Look at that. This was my holy grail fountain pen for a long time. Smoky Quartz pen. And the ink is Edelstein. And even just writing these couple of lines is enough to keep things going. And it is also Smoky Quartz. This pen also has that beautiful fineness and expressive line, and you can go really thick with it also. It is a dynamite pen. This is a really hard worker, and I love it for drawing. And then my last Pelican is this one, and this one might be out of ink also, but we'll just try it. This is the Pelican M205. It's barely got any ink in it, but I want to clean this pen. So 205 just means that it has silver accents instead of gold. It's the same nib. And this is in Moonstone. This is my least favorite of the Pelicans. I got a really good deal on it. It's just not very attractive. I don't think it was supposed to have like iridescent sparkles, but I don't know. It's just not the most beautiful pen. And then this is Edelstein Ink in Moonstone, which is gorgeous. But it's of my 3 Pelicans, it's my least favorite. It's a fine pen, but it's just, I don't know. I rarely use it unless I need a gray ink. So I need to clean that one. Okay, that's a brush pen. I'm not going to show you that. This is a really interesting pen. This is a Moon Man with a bent nib, and I got it on Jet Pens. It's not a very expensive pen. It's so beautiful. I enjoy this pen very much. So this is the Moon Man, and because I am left-handed and the way I hold my pens, I don't get a very expressive line with this. Other people really do. So it's a bent nib or a food nib, and I'm just going to put food nib. I don't know the name of it's called Koi. The color of the pen was called Koi, which certainly looks like it. And then the ink is Waringal. In Song of Reed, which is a really, I think, beautiful ink with this pen. This is a lot of fun. You can see how it's kind of expressive, but when you have someone who holds their pen correctly, it's really beautiful, this nib. All right, and not an expensive pen at all. Maybe 30 bucks or under. Then I have 2 more Moon Mans that I want to show you, and I probably should not keep these inked because I don't use them that often. So this one is just clear, and you can see I have a Sailor Mano ink in here called Haha. It's a super fun ink, but you see that pink band? That is actually the ink separating, and this is a teeny tiny pen. They do not leak. They're amazing. And so this is the Moon Man, and I just call it Clear Travel. I don't know the real name of this pen, If you went on Jet Pens and looked at the Moonman pens, you'd find them. They're teeny tiny, but when you post them, they're fairly comfortable. And the ink, and this is a very fine nib, extra fine. This is Sailor Manyo ink in the color Haha. And it's a very pretty, soft, cool blue. Okay? I love this pen. I just don't use it that often. And then this is my other Moonman. I got one that was a little bit different. And this one has Wearing Gull ink that has sparkles in it. And so you have to shake it before you use it. And this color is called, nope, I might not have it in here. I can never remember the name of this ink. It's something about Moonlit Path. But it's a dark, dark blue-black with a silvery blue shimmer, and the shimmer will gather down in here, and so you have to shake it a little bit before you use it. But isn't it cool? Such a pretty little pen. So this is the same thing. I call it the Moonman Ribbon Travel. See, it's a really lovely dark, it's actually kind of a gray. Also an extra fine nib. And this is Wearing Gull, I'm going to say Moonlit Path because I don't remember exactly what it is, but look how easily it starts up. And the neat thing is when this dries, you have a sheen on it. It's very pretty on paper, even in this fine size. Not a sheen, I should say a sparkle. I don't know if you probably won't be able to see it. I can barely see it. You can see it more when it dries, but it's really, really nice. All right, so now those are all done. Now I'm going to ink up the Sailor for you. And it is also a cartridge pen. And it comes with a cartridge. You don't have to buy them separately. And I just stick it right into the ink bottle. So this is the ink that I'm using with this pen. This is the Yoseka Stationery Ceramics line. I love this ink more than I can say. It is the most beautiful color to me, and it's perfect for this pen. It's called Tang Misi Blue. And these colors are based on ancient Eastern ceramics. Look at that color. I don't know if you can see that in the bottle at all, but it is really gorgeous. So again, you just twist the converter down all the way, immerse the nib all the way into the ink, and slowly draw up. So it's just like a piston, but you just have to take the converter out and use it that way. Wipe it off a little bit. I just rest it on my towel, close this up immediately so I don't spill it. Beautiful ink. I have a feeling it's made for them by Ink Institute because the bottles are exactly the same. This color, there was another color that I used to use, and I still use it. It's called Georgia by Sailor. They did an ink for all of the 50 states, and it reminds me a lot of the Georgia ink, if you have that. It's a little less brown than Georgia, but I don't know, there's something very similar about it. But this one is just, to me, super beautiful. Okay, so let's try her out. So this is the Sailor Yoseka Pro Gear Slim. Do you hear that nib? The nib is medium fine, which is my favorite Sailor nib. And the ink is Yoseka Ceramics. I'm gonna forget the name. Tang me say, whoop, blue. Okay. But again, once you ink these, this pen always starts out beautifully. And this ink has, even in this, you know, fine nib, even though it's medium fine, it's very fine. Sailor nibs are very fine. But to hear that scratchy sound, that is the feedback that is so beautiful about these nibs. You probably can't even see that. It's off the thing. But that's the feedback that you hear. And it's just really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. I don't know if you can see that wearing gold ink shimmer now. I can see it, but you might not be able to. Okay, so that is taking your pens for a walk. If you're someone who is newer to fountain pens, it's something you really need to do, especially if you notice that you have several pens inked and you're not using them as much as you thought you would. It's really important that you use them at least once a week and take them for a walk like that. So before I close, I want to just say, I plan on doing at least one video here a month for fountain pens and stationery and all things left-handed if they do come up. But I'm also going to be starting another type of video here, and it is something that's very dear to me that I teach, that has been a big part of my life, all of my adult life since I was 13 or 14 years old, and then it's grown into something quite special, and that is my my tarot practice. And I teach classes on it. I have a wonderful school on Teachable where I teach classes on tarot, and I have a monthly membership there where we practice together, we learn. And I use tarot. It's a psychological tool for me for self-reflection. I use it in a very intellectual and emotional way. It is not a divinatory tool in any way, shape, or form for me. It is about self-reflection, and it is a companion to my thought processes. I use it for my creative processes all the time. I use it for personal situations and dilemmas and planning and all the time. It is a gift to have a relationship with the tarot or oracles. It doesn't matter. But this is actually an oracle deck. It's a botanical oracle deck, right? I love decks so much, not all of them, but a lot of them, because of their beauty and their artwork. The symbolism in the artwork. This one is a botanical deck, which I will use sometimes just to draw one card. And one word will help me flavor the rest of my reading, right? It's a very intuitive process for me. It is just vital to my life. And I started sharing it about 5 years ago now, when I started creating my dandelion lessons for YouTube and now my Patreon. And it had mixed reception in the beginning. I think I lost people because of tarot, and that's fine. If you don't want to, you don't have to watch these videos that I make. But a lot of other people were exposed to it in a way that they never knew was possible, to use tarot in their lives. And it is, I know it has become a treasured companion to many, many people who are my students and who and my friends and who follow me on social media, on Patreon, and here on YouTube. It has become a valuable tool. And so I have really been called lately to share more about it and to normalize it for people, and for people to understand the immense benefits of using a system like this to help your thought processes and your intuitive processes and your creative processes. It is a very helpful tool and a beautiful tool, and can be a source of great comfort in uncertain times. So I just wanted to announce that I'm going to be starting to do some videos about it in a very authentic, genuine, honest way, full of integrity, as I approach, or really aim to approach, everything that I do. So I just wanted to announce that here, and you may have absolutely zero interest in it, but I hope that when I do share the first one, that that you'll give it, at least give it one view and see what you think. Okay? All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you sign off and go take your pens for a walk. It's a lot of fun, and it's a really healthy thing to do for your fountain pens. Keeps them running smoothly. All right, everybody, take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye.